Good morning, Barron fans. We want to welcome you to this broadcast of the Ben Davis Ford Sports Talk here at Ben Davis Ford in Auburn off of Grandstaff. I'm your host, Joe Snyder, voice of the Barons. Once again, we're here with live Coach Pete Kemp and some players from the football team. And hey, we want to go ahead and put some shout outs and let everybody know that this broadcast was made possible by the generosity of the following program sponsors: Auburn Essential Services, DeKalb Health, Steel Dynamics Incorporated, Bowles Frozen Desserts, Smith Teas, Gibson's Heating and Plumbing, FC Tucker, Malcolm and Schluter Realtors, Kelly Southern State Farm, Albright's One Stop Grocery and Supermarket in Corona, Jamel Flooring, the Ben Davis Auto Group, Brown & Brown Insurance, Classic City Body and Paint, Smith Farms Manor, Nixon Homes, Joyce Hefty Koval Insurance Agency, Betts Nursing Home, Beacon Credit Union, Metal Technologies, Mefford, Weber & Blythe Attorneys at Law, Nucor Building Systems, Vision Source, Indiana Physical Therapy, Auburn Dental Associates, Taylor Rental, Bernadette Salon, the Forget Me Not Boutique, Big Red Sports, Jeremiah's, DeKalb Chiropractic, and Drive Right Academy. And Coach Kemp, I got to tell you this, it was really a great game last night. A lot of fun for all homecoming week. Lots of entertainment, lots of excitement for everybody. The crowd was in full force last night, and we were obviously we were playing against the Huntington North Vikings, and wow, you know, it's interesting because they kind of entered a growth and rebuilding period at the same time we did as a program in football. Mm-hmm. But you know, and we're seeing them coming in 2-3 in the season. We were 2-3 in the season, but what an outstanding performance last night, both offensively and defensively, and really coming away with a 42-0 win. I mean, just an exciting program. At the same time, I do have to say this. I want to put a big shout out to Huntington North in the progress that they are making. It's wonderful to see that they've got some wins under their belt, that their program is growing as well in conference. You know, anybody that's wearing black and red and white, I got to cheer for them a little bit. You know, Coach. That's.
I think they did a good job last night, and they left. They have a really good Division I lineman going to Michigan State, great run blocker.
Kaler, correct?
Kaler was injured last evening. I don't think Kaler makes up 42 points, but I think the game it's a little bit of a different game. You know, when you lose somebody of that caliber, especially on your offensive and defensive lines, and when our game plan was centered around him, obviously running the ball and stopping the run, and you kind of have to change on the fly. And I'm happy how the way we came out, and Huntington North does some real funky things on defense in particular with like a 6-3, 6-1 defense. On their offense, they've gotten better. Quarterback kind of had an off night. I'm really happy with our D line, who got there and made things difficult on them. And we had, I think, 3 sacks and a couple interceptions, and we actually had 3 interceptions, but that's besides the point. And I guess we'll continue to talk about that here in a little bit.
Well, if memory serves me, I believe that Huntington North was actually coming into last night's game in conference as one of the, if not the leader in passing yardage. And
yes.
One of the things that happened very early in the game is the defense came out right in the very first series opening plays, shut down their offense, shut down their run game, and really did a good job containing it.
Yeah, Huntington North, I think, was averaging 180 passing yards a game. And like I said, we brought stats this time. Look at this. We got them done this morning. We held them to 92 yards passing and 11 of 30. So 11 completions out of 30 attempts with a long of 40. So they had 1 pass of 40 yards, but we also had 2 picks. And I think the picks were, Peyton and Aiden?
Peyton and Aiden.
Peyton and Aiden, and JD also had one, but we had a pass interference call that negated that interception for JD, which would have put us up on the 3 turnover goal, which is where we want to be every week. And we did a good job. We didn't turn the ball over too, which is always a positive.
Exactly, and that was something. Getting the 2 picks, the turnovers favoring us last night, especially defensively, really setting us up. And matter of fact, the pick by Peyton Stout resulted in an incredible quarterback sneak.
Yes.
By Kyle Dunham, and what a great I mean, I'm telling you what, those guys sold that thing. They should be getting Oscars this morning.
It's nice to get him a touchdown that's longer than half a yard. But here's what I will say. That the reason that play worked is because on the previous offensive play is because Tanner Jack ran that was a counter, quarterback counter off the power read action. So you had the running back run a wide wide track or a jet track or outside track, depending on whatever you call it, and out to the outside of the numbers, and you just saw the defense flow, and we're going to counter back, and Kyle ran it north and south. It was beautiful. They looked exactly like it should. Wonderfully blocked up front, and Kyle has a knack of trying to bust that outside a little bit, but this time he kept it north and south, and guess what? It led to a 22-yard touchdown or 16-yard touchdown. Kyle says 16. So
16.
Yeah, we can say 22 though.
You can say 22 too.
Well, and I got to tell you that run by Tanner Jack was absolutely electric.
Yeah, and Tanner last night had 103 yards on 6 attempts. He also had an 80-yard touchdown called back. So that's not that we're a little salty about that.
Yeah,
But, of course, that was a play. Was that 2 plays after?
It was.
Eli caught a ball for about a 60-yard gain, and
That's right.
that got called back, and which was it was funny. Tyler's blocking the guy. So here's the penalty they called. They called a block in the back. So Pomeroy's taking the corner down the sideline. The corner literally just turns around and starts running away, and Tyler just shoves him, just to finish the block, and the guy doesn't even phase him, and they called that. That was the call. On that one that we had that called back, and then they called Easton. Easton blocked a dude. His hand, he blocks the guy. He's aggressive, and Ford hip tossed him earlier in the game, like from the face mask. They didn't call it. And so Tanner had that. Was that Tanner's other 80-yard run?
Yeah, that was his other 80-yard run.
Yeah, just cheap. Cheap.
And it was one of the things that really surprised us. It was completely and totally on the weak side, completely off of the play, had nothing to do whatsoever with,
he was just looking to throw the flag.
Yeah, and that was, but that was one of those things that it was very interesting because there were a lot of great moments like that. Last night, like you mentioned, and Eli ended up getting that big, the big pass.
Yep,
and
on
the
4th and 2, baby.
4th and 2.
4th and 2, baby.
Yeah. Stretching the field out, and it was a lot of fun last night. The environment was the environment last night was really exciting. The crowd was totally into it, and I'm telling you what, the student section was huge in full force last night. We ended up having so many folks coming back for homecoming. And, when you have an atmosphere like that you host, how much fun is it for you as a coach to be able to be out there knowing that you've got that fan support?
Oh, it makes it easy. It makes it easy, especially when your team has, I think, 10 penalties for roughly 81 yards, and Huntington North has 0 penalties for 0 yards, and when you have that, it's a great halftime support, and even better. Tyler says sorry. He's watching right now. So it just. I know apparently had 3 guys out at halftime for homecoming court. I didn't even know it. And they didn't ask me either, which makes me angry. Laura, you're one of them. You should be apologizing to me. We were working for those guys at halftime. Obviously we love Emerson. We didn't necessarily know he wasn't in there at halftime, but he was the homecoming king. How about that guy?
That's right.
Soccer captain. Kicker extraordinaire, had 3 touchbacks last night. I can't tell you the last time we had a kicker with 3 touchbacks. We even got Cheese in on kickoff, drilled the dude, loved it. Cheese is just drilling dudes off the tee right there, and just and they're down at Huntington North right now with a JV game, hopefully pounding the rock and doing great things.
Well, and that's something we want to talk a little bit about homecoming. Of course, last night we had some special guests on the programming, and we want to put some shout-outs to Kirsten Butler, the president of student government. She did a great job representing. I think she actually went through just about everybody that was in student government, helping with making homecoming so special, and at the same time highlighting all the great exceptionalism that they bring to the school.
And Kirsten Butler had a heck of a powder puff.
Yes,
game.
she did.
QB1 for the senior, a winning senior team.
That's right, and we had a chance to talk with her about that and all the excitement that came. And now we're going to end up on BTV. We're going to have that on YouTube. The game, correct?
Yes, I have to go through, and I always like, before we do that with events like that, especially when I have student announcers, I will always go back and watch and ensure that everything is
above board,
kosher, just solid. I think we had Tyler Hoyt and Monsoon Maloney on the mics.
All right.
But what I was more worried about is we had Bodner and Comfort over there doing the announcing. You just never know what those two are going to get into.
Yes.
I think at one point Bodner was singing Log from, is that Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah.
Yes,
singing
yes.
from Whamco. I'm like, we got to keep it on the straight and narrow, Bodner. You just never know what you get out of that, man.
Well, and it was interesting last night as well. Not only did we have her on the program, but we have our regulars. Myself, we had Ryan Baker and Colin Shaw doing a great job with commentary, and then in addition to that, we ended up having some special guests. We had Varsity Cheer. We had Haley Myers was on the program along with Emily Parks and Stockard Smith pregame, putting shout outs to the team and
Wonderful.
all the folks for homecoming week. And homecoming week, we ended up having some different candidates. We had Sarah Fetter, and we also ended up having Emerson Deesh, of course. We ended up seeing, yep. And we had Sarah Shannon was on the court, and look at that. Is that Hunter Jack in there?
It is. It's Hunter. I wish he was still playing.
Yes.
Wish he was still playing, but obviously 2 ACLs later, that's not always ideal. But and he's got huge success and a great future for racing. So I'm glad to see he's able to do what he's doing.
Well, and of course we saw the race car was out there as well for.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. It was really awesome to have them out there and really participate in that way. We also had Kendall Smith, and we had Dalton Smith as well out there on the court. Now, one of the things we did end up, as you said before, it was Emerson Deesh and Sarah Fetter, the homecoming king and queen for 2018. We want to congratulate them and all the court members, and of course, all of us at Barron TV really appreciate you representing the school this year. And we had Andrew Novak and Ashley Allen, the homecoming king and queen from last year, come back to present.
Very cool.
And so wonderful having them back on homecoming night. And Coach, this is something that it's something special for the entire community to be part of this, to see these types of events and to have this part of the football program. This is something that we're only a couple weeks away from senior night.
I know, it's hard to believe. It
really is. It seems like we just started this season, kind of getting the momentum going, and all of a sudden, we're going to be on the road coming up in a week, and then the week after that, we're going to be back it's going to be our cancer awareness as well, our pink out, correct?
Yes,
in 2 weeks.
Cancer awareness, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Remind me, I got to order pink decals.
Well, and it's fantastic to end up having these different nights that are coming up to really honor the folks that are part of these programs. And I know we're going to talk more in a couple of weeks about that. But, when you sit back and take a look at, what all's being done and all the events and all the different folks participating, what can you say about DeKalb football and the support?
Oh, we're just part of it, man. This is not, when we got this, when I came in 5 years ago, it's hard to believe it's been 5 years. It's been not necessarily just about building the program, but building a community. And, I think we kind of lost our way on what football can mean to a community, but we're just a part of a bigger cog or a bigger machine. And, and I think football is important for one big reason as we start the year.
Right.
We set the tone for the year, and having a successful football season can lead into great energy leading into the winter, then winter leading into the spring. And then if that energy is able to be maintained and continue through the year, all of a sudden that leapfrogs again the following fall. And it's just, I know not everybody's a football fan, but you can feel a different amount of energy with success during the week within the hallways and reasons to celebrate. And it's just we're just a small part of something that's so much bigger than us. And, when people come back for homecoming, and there's so many different small events centered around football, like the tailgate. I know a good buddy of mine, Josh Sheff from Huntington, they brought up an RV in Winnebago at 5 o'clock. They had
Awesome.
6 buddies from Huntington down there, and they were parting it up out in an RV out in our parking lot, which is awesome. To see just that kind of energy back here, and the booster ladies and tailgating before. And like I said, last week we had like 9,000 chicken halves from Albrights that came in, fed our boys. And this week we had Sloppy Joe. I mean, we had so many different things that come into making a program successful. And, and what's great about football, in my opinion, is that it's holistically accepting. Anybody, whoever that wants to commit to something greater, not want to drag those around them down, and be a part of something that is larger than themselves has an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And I know that's kind of something that, as an athletic department, that it's the goal.
Right.
Just to kind of, everything from the Special Olympics to Unified that we're doing now to all these non-cut sports that are just doing, and obviously there are some sports that are cut that help build up young men and women, but we just, trying to provide an arena, an area for young people to be a part. And this year we had started with close to 90 kids.
Right.
Obviously through the summer, through attrition, and soon that guys realize what it really takes. It's not easy. They enjoy the weight room aspect, but maybe not the practice aspect every day. That's hard. So we're down in the mid 70s now, which is a good number for us, and it's where we've kind of been. We always start with better and better numbers every year, it seems like. But we're just so happy with everything that's going on, especially with the core group of seniors that we have. That we're going to interview 4 of them today.
Yes.
Which kind of gets us to, so band was supposed to be on originally today.
Right.
Due to some unforeseen circumstances and supervision issues they had within the program. Coach Link had to stay at the school today. But they will be here on October 7th for a band interview, and Coach Collins was supposed to be and fill in, but he had to go back for his wife's birthday, which obviously is absolutely more important.
It absolutely is. You can't end up, when you've got priorities like that, you've got to make sure you're choosing the right ones.
Absolutely.
Of course, they are competing this evening as well. Now they're going to be up South Bend at Penn.
I think so.
Where the band is going to be. So we want to, at Barron TV, we want to wish them the best of luck in their competition today and hope that everything goes well in their competition. Coach, you brought some special guests with you here this morning.
So we have to interview these guys first. So we have the first round. This is the first round. Again, we have number 23 with his diamond studs in and rolled ankle.
That's
Aiden Friedel and QBV1. Is that what we go with?
That's
Mr.
right.
Touchdown runner himself.
Kyle Dunham.
So who do you want to
who
wants to go first?
Yeah.
Kyle,
okay.
There we go.
We'll definitely go there. And that Kyle, this has really been a lot of fun this year and this season, and our fans are really, they're out in full force last night. It's homecoming night, and now I got to ask you, now the call that came in on that play when you ended up running it in on that whole quarterback sneak and the fake. Did that come in from the sidelines, or did you guys end up coming up with that play out there in the huddle yourself?
It came in from the sideline,
okay.
But I kind of saw it coming, and it's actually funny because the play before, Tanner had gotten one. Before that, John got one. So right when I got in the huddle, I was like, "All right, guys, here we go. Maybe I'll get a score."
Yeah.
And then that ended up happening. It was kind of funny.
Well, that it really was. Up in the booth, we were fully expecting either John Bell or Tanner Jack to get the ball. We're thinking, okay, this looks like it's setting up for a run play, and we see the handoff. It looks like a handoff. We're following the action. Like, wait a minute, it's a quarterback. He took that one. He still got it. He's going for the end zone. So the execution of that was absolutely phenomenal. And one of the things is I'm pretty sure John ended up selling the heck out of that when he ended up having that, because that was the fake, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you end up having that and executing that, obviously you practice this and you have this chance to execute it during the game. How much fun is it when you have the crowd just exploding and you see a play like that just come together and work like it's supposed to?
It's great. And with it, especially since we had just scored just a few plays before, it's really just a great feeling, having scoring. I don't know, just 2 touchdowns back to back.
Well, and the other thing that ended up happening is on the sidelines. Did you have a chance to interact with Peyton Stout after he came out with that pick?
Oh yeah, a little bit. I told him good job when I came by. I was getting the play from coach. But
I'm sitting here trying to have a conversation with Kyle. He's like, "Oh, where's Peyton?" I said, "We got to try to get a play call."
Yeah.
I had to congratulate him getting us back on the field.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
my best Kyle impression.
Yeah.
I did it pretty well.
No.
Okay.
So, and then as well, did you have a chance? With John, that was something that, and it takes. Remember, it's the offensive line out there doing their job. Everybody's doing their job, but man, he took that thing and he pulled all of the coverage. Everybody, the Huntington North team, the crowd, everybody thought Bell had the ball when you go. You just go north and south and cut in there and get that touchdown. Did you have a chance to talk with John after the play?
I didn't, but I think he definitely fooled the defense because right before, as Coach touched on, it was the same play just to the other side, and this time the keep back to the other side, and I kept it north and south this time. They've been getting on me about that in practice, so
it seemed to work.
Oh yeah, definitely a wide open hole. Thanks to the O-line.
Well, yeah, and that was really kind of it was kind of interesting last night. You had some great pocket protection. They did a good job really keeping a lot of pressure up. There were a few moments last night where you were being pressured, but you still made heads-up plays and made sure to get the ball, keep it out of their hands, and basically go out there without any interceptions, from the other team. How much and how important has it been for O-line to give you that kind of protection this year?
It's really it makes it easy on me because like when I drop back and I can hitch up twice and still get off a good ball, or when I can roll out all the way to the sideline, then make the decision I need to. It really takes a lot of pressure off me.
Well, and when you look at this as far as the pass protection, these are some pretty large fellows coming off that Huntington North team getting ready to pass rush, and that's something that, what goes through your mind when you see that pressure coming on? You tend to roll out pretty good, but
all I'm thinking is our line's bigger and better, so I'm not too worried.
I don't know if we were bigger, but I think we were better.
Well, I don't know.
We're pretty big.
Yeah, a little guy like me, I'm like, man, somebody's going to pancake me out here.
Let me see that. Let me see that chart there. We have Huntington's North.
We do. They were on
they were some big boys.
Back, so
77 was 6'3", 290. 76 was 6 foot 3 hundo. 75 was 6'3", 275.
Yeah, that's like a line of Buicks, okay?
Yeah, bud. And then 70 was 6'5", 270.
Yeah.
I don't, we had larger hearts.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. Well, and when you saw last night's game, you ended up having a key, not just that key moment, but several of them. There was at one point you ended up having a big connection with Eli Rome on a big pass play, and we know it ended up having called back. But how much fun is it? Where's the excitement come for you? Is it running that in for the touchdown, or is it handing that ball off and seeing the running back, take it and score, like Hunter Jack did, or is it the big pass play? What's the part of it? Because we actually, at the end of the game, I think we actually saw you line up as wide receiver as well.
I did line up for a few plays, and Corey got a nice run there. But really, just anytime we get a big gain, whether if it's a read and hand it off to Tanner and he goes 80 yards, I get a 16-yard touchdown. Eli gets a 50-yard pass. Any good play for the offense is just really motivating.
Well, I tell you what, it's a pleasure having you here on the show this morning, and I got to ask you as well. You end up having, at the end of the game, we ended up seeing Mr. Price come in and get an opportunity to play in varsity. And what do you end up doing as far as a legacy? What do you want to share with him as far as your experience and your knowledge that he can carry on to the future Barons?
Just go out there with confidence. He's a great player. I think he's a bit better of a runner than I am. He's just a bit quicker, but I just want to make sure next year when he comes out there, he's confident and knows what he's doing.
Fantastic. And anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share with our fans here today?
Nope. Just shout out to my family.
Fantastic. And
who'd
that
shout out
be?
to the O-line and defense.
Anybody specific on your family you want to shout out?
Shout out to my mom and my brother.
All right. Well, once again, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show this morning. Kyle Dunham, we look forward to a lot of more great reports, and good luck as we come. We're going to go on the road, I believe, to Norwell this week. Yep. This is Friday at Norwell. So best of luck this week and this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And next we have, that's Aiden Friedel, number 23. Aiden, I got to tell you, we were very nervous last night in the booth very early in the game, and there was a chance there that there was an injury that was taking place. What happened out there on the field?
Well, I was running to go cover a guy. There was a ball in the air, so I ran to the receiver that I was going to, and I ended up rolling my ankle.
Ouch.
Yeah, there's a pop, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, well, when we saw you down on the ground, we didn't like that either. That was something that's a pretty key position that you're in out there. Can you let our fans know exactly what position you're playing this year?
I'm playing safety.
Safety.
Yep.
And so now, how long have you played safety?
I've played it ever since 8th grade.
Okay. And now, when you take a look at that as far as safety, what are the key functions and key roles, and what do you love about the position?
When I go down to play more of an outside backer, that's real nice.
Yeah.
I like covering. I think one of the best things is man. I think that's the most fun. Just being physical.
And last night, of course, you ended up having a big moment. One of the things we were just glad about was that, one, you were okay. That you were able to basically get up, stretch that out, walk it back off, and come back into the game.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how much relief we ended up having up in the stands, knowing that you were coming back in the game and covering that position. And we know we have depth on the team. Make no mistake about it.
Right.
But you have a key role in here in varsity. And how long have you been secured as a varsity player?
I've been playing, starting ever since sophomore year.
Okay. And what has that opportunity meant to you to be a DeKalb Baron at the varsity level here for our football team?
I love playing for DeKalb, and playing as a sophomore really made me a better player. I mean, I wasn't that good as a sophomore, don't get me wrong. I had like 12 total tackles. But getting that experience, getting the knowledge, and playing with the bigger and faster players made me better.
And basically, the same thing I asked Kyle as well. What kind of a legacy do you want to leave? What kind of a lesson do you want to share with your underclassmen to carry on in future years?
To whoever fills my spot or any of the defensive backs, I just want them to do everything I do, but better. I want to pass down my knowledge and make sure they're confident, like Kyle said, and make sure they do everything that I do, just better.
Well, that's a great legacy to leave. And I got to ask, last night you ended up having a key moment late in the game in that pick.
Yeah.
How much fun and excitement was that when you have that ball come into your hands and you've got it and you've secured it for the team?
I had one interception total last year, so getting one in the 6th game was a pretty good feeling.
Well, and one of the things that ends up happening is it's not only just getting that pick, but what happens and what goes through your mind to read the field after you get that to be able to try and take it and run it in for a potential pick 6?
Well, you see, I fell to the ground, so being able to read the field wasn't much of an option. But celebrating with my teammates, that was pretty awesome.
Well, and it wasn't very long after that you had a chance to celebrate, and the whole student section came in after the end of the game to come down there, and they were really pumped up. What was that environment like for you? I mean, this homecoming week, it's a great game, it's a huge matchup, and here you end up having a key moment like that in the game.
Just energetic. It's just fun. I love having everyone around and celebrating a win, a 42-0 win. A goose egg is real nice.
Yes, it is. And hey, we've got a big game matchup coming up against Norwell this week on the road. As we match up with them, I know we're going to be taking a look at film. We're going to be looking at our, what we're going to do as far as to work for this week in practice. What are some of your takeaways that you have from this week and the first part of the season that you're going to take into that game?
I'm just going to try to keep being physical, going after the ball, get this ankle better for sure, and just play the best to my ability.
Well, I tell you what, Aiden, we wish you the best of luck coming up. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to share with your fans and listeners and viewers today to let them know about you?
I just want to shout out to my dad because ever since 8th grade, he pushed me to be a safety, and I was like, no, I want to be a wide receiver and get all the fame. But it's because of him I'm playing safety now. So
fantastic. Any other shout-outs that you have to your fans?
I want to thank my mom. She's a great supporter, and I love her a lot. I love both my parents.
Fantastic. Again, we wish you the best of luck coming up this season. Aiden Friedel, it's been a pleasure having you here on Sports Talk this morning. And, Coach, we'll talk with you for just a little bit more. I know we've got a few more guests here that you want. We'll do a switch out here and have a chance to talk with a few more of our players. And I gotta ask, when you sit back and you take a look at the performance, we had a great performance last night. As you said, we had some of the things we actually saw maybe a cleaner game against Columbia City, and we really contained really the fouls and the penalties. And coming into last night's game, it seemed like we had maybe a little bit of a return to that. We had a few more of those mental lapses that came in. And is that still going to be a consideration and a focus that you have with the team coming into this Norwell game in the last few games of the season?
Yeah. I think defensively, I was very proud. I think we only had one defensive penalty, and it was close.
Right.
Offensively, we got to do a better job with offensive line and hand position, and how we finish blocks instead of we just got to do a better job of how we finish. We just got to quit shooting ourselves in the foot, because when come sectional time and you look at our sectional, Northwood, Northridge, Angola, East Noble, us, Wawasee. Who am I missing? Culver Academy.
Culver.
So you have out of that group
4 ranked teams in there.
The preseason it was 6.
6, yeah.
6 teams that were in the top 15. So we have either the best or second best statistically ranked sectional in the state.
Right.
4A, and it's a lot better than a lot of 5A sectionals.
That's right.
And in some 6. So it's good football top to bottom, and we're positioning ourselves. I like the progression we're making. Be able to make a run. And, when we get, next week at Norwell, which is going to be a massive battle against mostly the environment. Norwell's a very good team. They were up at East Noble at halftime last night at East Noble.
Right.
Which is a place that we didn't play very well. And, we just played a bad game when we were there. But kind of the measuring stick that, Huntington North Lost to East Noble by 7,
Right.
14. So we've kind of seen these measuring sticks of where we are against other people, and we've played really well at home. Outside of 2 plays against New Haven, we've won every quarter except for 1. Now we got to go to Ossian, which for whatever reason there are always, really, and this is gonna sound odd, the 2 most difficult places to play are Kennelville and Norwell.
Yes.
And part of this for us is that it's Fair Week.
Right.
I love the Free Fall Fair. I'm sure it's great for the money that comes into downtown Auburn, and it's great for a lot of different people, especially for our 4-H. It's awesome. We have a great 4-H center. A lot of guys in our program that are members of 4-H that we will work around the schedule this week in particular. But this Free Fall Fair is just a giant distraction.
Right.
It's an issue for us as a program, making sure kids aren't up there, dilly down around, eating all the horrible food and not focusing on what they have to focus on to be successful for school and football and just personal success, because there are things up there that they don't get involved in.
Well, and that's going to be a big portion of this as far as maintaining the focus this week as we go in. And as you said before, it is incredibly challenging, and I've seen this and witnessed this throughout the years as well.
Yeah.
When you go down to Ossian and you're down there at Norwell, they have a great program. They have a great amount of support from the community. And that team, it doesn't matter whether they're ranked this year, ranked that. I'm telling you what, they come in as a top competitor in our conference every single year, and it is always a serious threat.
Every 3 or 4 years, man, they just put together an unbelievable team.
Yes, they do.
And, last couple of years they've grown, but this year they're a good ball club, and they've put up a lot of points.
Right.
Put up a lot of points, and it's not something that really, for us, it's going to be focused on environment. It's going to be, obviously we don't know what Norwell is going to do because we've seen them we have film against 2 spread teams. Obviously, we're not a spread team.
Right.
You talked about earlier about setting up the run. Well, we use the run to set up the run, to set up the other run.
That's right.
And then hopefully when we hit our shots, like we didn't hit our shots again last night. We had a couple open receivers, and we overthrew with the wind, and we. Kyle threw a great ball. We didn't adjust into the wind. So it's just those are things we got to capitalize, and we're going to continue to do that. I thought we did a great job against Columbia City throwing the ball a little more in the first half. But, when you don't have to throw the ball, and Huntington North wasn't making us throw the ball, even though we're sticking 9 and 10 in the box. But we did have what we had to do to be successful. And
it's interesting because one of the things I took a look at and really took a big takeaway from last night, we do a great job defensively, shutting down the run. As a squad, as a group, our D-line does a great job. And one of the things that ended up, it was interesting to me, was how effective we were at shutting down the pass game against the powerhouse last night in Huntington North.
Yeah, like I said, they did a really good job throwing the ball. They had some uncharacteristic drops, but we had guys there to, make sure we made the plays. They struggled throwing the ball in the wind. They beat us deep a couple times.
Yeah.
And they overthrew the ball. I think 3 times they beat us deep, and they overthrew the ball. And then going into the wind, that's when Aiden picked the ball off.
Right.
It was a great judgment call on him. Going up and playing the wind and playing the ball, and it's hard to throw the ball in that wind. And they did some good job throwing underneath and connecting those, but we did a great job corralling. They didn't have, for a team like that, that doesn't. They use the pass to set up the run. They complete the hitches, they complete the slants and the little stags they do, and we were there to prevent what's called yak or yards after catch, because that's why you throw that ball underneath. It's not necessarily just to complete the 5 or 6 or 7 yard pass. It's to get the ball to your receivers in space and see what they could do 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 in open space and get upfield. We absolutely minimized the yak last night, which was a great job by our secondary, and our secondary looks a lot different now than it did in the preseason. And they've gotten better and better these last 2 weeks, and we still have a lot of improvement to doing. But I've been really impressed, especially with Trevor Meyer, who hasn't played defense really since his freshman year, and he's gotten better at safety. And the last week to this week, last week he struggled against Columbia City, and this week he showed a huge amount of improvement. I was very happy with that.
Fantastic. Well, and right now we're going to go to some more guests that you
Yeah,
brought with
absolutely.
you on the show. And while we turn to them, one of the things I want to end up doing is put a big shout out to our Super Fan of the Week, and of course, Super Fan of the Week brought to you by FC Tucker, Malcolm, and Schluter Realtors, and it was Betty Sue Hughes, and that was something. Of course,
that is a super fan built into a super fan, man.
Yes, it is, and so we want to end up putting a big shout out to her today and thank her
So
for
much
all of her
super.
support. Oh, I know. And of course, next we have number 52, Nick Waters. Is this correct?
52, Nick Waters to start. We're
yeah.
save the number 1 for last.
That's right. We're gonna
TE1 for end.
That's how that works.
and Nick, that's something that it's a pleasure to have you here on Sports Talk this morning at Ben Davis Ford. Hey, I got to ask you. Let our fans know, Nick. You know, last night was a great environment. It's a great game. We see you out there all the time. But let our fans know about the position that you play and what it was like in last night's environment at homecoming.
I play guard on the offensive line, so it's fun because you get to hit somebody every play. But the environment last night was exciting and really hype, and it's just something that you really look forward to every Friday night. And unfortunately, when we lose, we don't get it as much as we do when we win, and we look to win every Friday, and sometimes it just doesn't work. But it's really fun when everyone's all hype and happy and going.
Well, you know, and that's something that last week, of course, on Sports Talk, we had Tyler Pomeroy in here, and he had a chance to talk a little bit about O-line. And for you as a guard, one of the things that ends up happening is O-line doesn't always get that credit. You're not always that guy that's running across the end zone and pulling off that touchdown. But how great does it feel when you know that you've done your job and you're making that support possible that our offense can score?
Well, when I just see our little running backs running into the end zone and I get to put my hands in the air and celebrate and hoop and holler, then that's always fun. And yeah, that's probably the most exciting part.
There was a couple times last night where we saw it was Pomeroy and Hoyt and Waters here. You know, Jack's like, you know, they're running down the field, mumbling, stumbling down the field, and their arms are in there. It's like touchdown. Jack's like on the 40.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just so it was just it's fun to see that on film, but we got to make sure we finish plays first before we start prematurely celebrating. Last night, when you're physically dominating a team like we did to Huntington North, you know, that's kind of okay, I guess.
Well, and for our listeners as well, let them know. You know, now have you always been an offensive lineman? Have there other positions that you've played in your football career?
7th, 8th grade, and freshman year, I played offensive line and defensive line. Sophomore year, I was playing O-line, and then junior year, I was told I might play defensive line. Didn't get to see it at all. This year, I've been thrown in there a couple times, and it'd be fun to play both ways a little bit more.
Well, you know, when you take a look at that experience, it's something that, you know, O-line, different from D-line, both of them incredible. I mean, when you think about the physicality that happens, I mean, you are in a battle up there.
Yeah.
And what is that environment like for you, and you know, where do you get kind of your inspiration when you're out there playing to end up making that play?
Sometimes you gotta do little cheap stuff to get it over with. But
well, that's part of the battle that you end up having during the competitive portion of it. And that's something that I know is different players end up having, you know, different multiple sports that they end up playing to kind of keep their competitive edge, and some players end up just focusing on one sport and one program. And where do you fall as a player? Do you have other games and other interests that you have, or do you really concentrate just on football?
I used to play baseball after freshman year. I just kind of fell off of it, and then I just started strictly focusing on just football.
And as you focus just on football, what types of things do you have to do conditioning-wise throughout the year to be ready to come in and play?
Stay active and don't just sit there and play video games all day.
That's right. And, you know, when you sit back and take a look at the importance of this job, what happens, what's the consequence? If you don't do your job well, what happens to other members on the offensive side of the ball?
We don't get big plays, we don't get yards, and then we come off the field and JB is screaming and screaming.
So your motivation is make sure JB doesn't
spit and scream.
Yeah, okay.
Mostly spit.
Mostly spit.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something that for this experience and getting this opportunity to end up playing on O-line at varsity level, what does this mean to you to be a DeKalb Baron and have this opportunity to be out there on the varsity team?
It's great. I love the school. I love playing for the Barons. I love being a Baron. It's great. Playing varsity in sophomore year really helped. I wasn't very good sophomore year. I was a little bit better junior year, and I feel like I've grown a lot from junior to this year. A lot more big hits and getting coaches to be like, "Ooh,
yeah,
that looks like it hurt."
And fans too. That's
Yeah,
a lot of the fans really enjoy that portion of it. And I have to ask you as well, how do you want your underclassmen and other fans to remember you and your contribution to this team? That's just your hard work and effort, and
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've had to work through this, even from middle school to get to this point of fighting to end up earning this position to be out there as a varsity player.
Yeah, it's always coaches telling me that my spot's not locked down, but it's just you got to work for it, and I really hope that everyone else under me just can take off from like how I've worked and how hard I worked for everything.
Well, I tell you what, I can certainly agree with that, and I appreciate it. And I tell you what, we are glad to have you out there on O-line. We get excited when we watch you come out there on the field and make sure that those plays end up executing. And best of luck going into Norwell this week and finishing out the rest of the season. Pleasure having you. Nick Waters once again here on Barron TV.
Well done.
Next, we end up having number 1, Eli Rome. And Eli, it's a pleasure having you back here on the show this week. And, last night, homecoming week, there's the environment is pumped up, everybody's excited, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the open field pulling one in. What was that moment like?
That's I've never really had that feeling before, and it was probably one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my life. It was awesome.
Well, and it was, the crowd just, regardless of what happened afterwards with the flag, when you're in a key moment like that and you see that crowd erupt and everybody is absolutely cheering for you and just excited at that type of a play, I can't think of a better highlight that you can have even in a career, just knowing that you've got thousands of people out there just cheering you on. What was that like for you?
That was awesome. I remember I got up after the play and I heard him yelling my name from the student section, and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah.
So I'm all up for this.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, preparation this week coming into such a high-profile game, it's easy to get defocused, and we're going to have to worry about concentrating on that this week. What are you going to end up doing as far as in that game to try and foster a key experience like that on the road against Norwell?
We just got to keep working hard and really – just me, myself, I got to be better at locking on and staying inside and not getting my hands outside and holding people.
Well, that's something that we had a chance to talk with you a few weeks ago and talk about, the importance of your game and what ends up happening with your position. Now, as you look at this and the goals, what kind of goals, coming off of this week after that moment, what kind of goals do you have from Norwell and then, to the rest of the season and through sectionals?
Well, I just want to keep pulling in the wins, and maybe a few more catches in there. That'd be cool. And I don't want any more holding penalties.
That's right. Yeah. And it's interesting because as you sit back and you end up doing that, you want to end up keeping your team accountable, and at the same time, you want to have that opportunity where you say, hey, that was me doing the end zone dance there. And, when you connect like that, how awesome is it to end up having great quarterbacks to support you and throw that ball like Kyle and like Corey?
It's awesome. I love my QB. He's a pretty great guy. I don't mind blocking for him when he's love you, buddy. I love blocking for him, on that QB keep. That was awesome. He called, he was going to score, and then he did. It was awesome to get to him in the end zone and just celebrate with him.
Well, and how much fun are you having as a varsity player this year on this squad?
Oh, it's so fun. I love it. It's nothing you experience anything else. It's the best feeling in the world.
And from what we end up seeing, we go on the road to Norwell. After that, we're going to have cancer awareness the week after that. We're going to be back at home. Obviously, as we said, there's a lot of distractions that come up with Fair Week. It doesn't, whether it's elephant ears. They've got
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Deep fried. Yeah, deep fried anything.
Deep fried Oreos.
Deep fried Oreos. Okay.
Never had those.
And so that's something that when you sit back and take a look at it, that we're going to have some big preparation that we're going to have throughout the week. There's a group of folks that you're going to have there working with other wide receivers. And as you go out and you practice and you study film, where does your mindset, how do you keep that focus and keep that mindset in there, and how do you help to keep your other teammates accountable?
I just know I want to be better than we have in the past, and that kind of helps me keep going forward. And I just don't like losing either, so that really just keeps me focused and keeps me on track to not
get off track.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that we end up having a chance to see is many times after you guys finish out with football practice, the gymnasium's still full over at volleyball.
Yep.
And you, along with other players, are out there supporting other programs and other teams. You know, I sit back and take a look at that, and I just love the level of support, and that's something that, for you, what's it mean to go out there and support even other teams and other programs here at DeKalb?
Yeah, I love my school. I love everything about my school. I love all the sports and, like, band. I love them. When we went to the band invitational, I mean, like, it was awesome. Like, I didn't think they'd care that much, but they were. I got texts from a lot of the band people like thanking me for being there, and it was really cool.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that I see is the support level that you have for the school and for all the programs. And I got to tell you, Eli, it's such a wonderful thing to end up having you here on the program again. And hey, you know, what kind of thoughts and shout outs do you have to our viewers today?
I just want to give a shout out to my mom and dad. They always support me through everything.
Fantastic. Eli Rome, pleasure. And I tell you what, we are really excited about the possibility of the next few games coming up. And we want to see you bring that one into the end zone.
Yeah.
All right.
More tight end screens.
That's right. More tight end screens.
Only on 4th and 2 on our 35.
Yeah, that's what Dixon said.
Well, Coach, and that's something now, you know, obviously we're going to focus our attention coming back to that a little bit more with Norwell and future games as well. And what can, you know, what kind of things and thoughts can you have for our viewers and listeners today as we turn to the rest of this season and look to going down this home stretch before we go into sections?
Week by week, take care of business, and we have to look to improve again this week. In some ways, we got a lot better. I don't know how much more we're going to add or take away, but we just got to get better at what we're doing. We haven't really added new plays. We just got to get better, you know, catching our shots. I mean, it seems like a constant theme every week. Offensively, catching our shots, reducing penalties, you know, sharpening up hand placement, you know, make sure we have 100% on, you know, blocking execution and route execution. We got to sharpen up our routes. They were bad last night again. A couple times you know, when we're throwing the ball and we can't depend on doing what we have to do to execute to a certain amount of perfection, it makes it hard to want to throw the ball, or makes it hard trusting to throw the ball downfield in particular. And we'll get better. And you know, Norwell's, like I said, a tough place to go. We haven't traveled well yet this year, and it's going to be a challenge for us and a challenge for our seniors to set that tone during practice, especially with as many distractions that are going to occur this week, things that we have no control over, whether it be within school or at the fair, or people trying to drag us down for whatever reason. And we just got to focus within ourselves and circle the wagons and make sure that we take care of what needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely. And hey, I have to ask you as well. Last night, well, actually yesterday afternoon, was that Powder Puff game. Is there any more highlights that you can end up sharing with everybody about that great event for homecoming?
Like I said, it'll be up probably early this week, so parents can get to see everything, and you know, like I said, the coaches will be able to evaluate some film, and you know, Kyle can kind of evaluate his Snapchat / announcing performance. It's amazing. Right. I've never seen an individual Snapchat as much as he does, and. He's a Snapchat king, I guess. But no, just like I said, it's all about us this week and every week moving forward, and that's something we got away from the last couple of years, and we'll figure it out.
Well, and also with Barron TV, we want to end up putting that shout out to fans. If you haven't done so yet, check out YouTube, Barron TV. We've got a great presentation and program from the sectionals with band. And there's now any other programming that's going to be coming up that we're going to have?
We're going to post this week. We have a little, Joe and I, we did that 15-minute segment. You know, if you're curious about what we're doing at Barron Television, go ahead and check out. It's going to be on our Facebook page. It's going to be on our YouTube page. So just come check it out. And I know we have coming up, you know, we're going to speak at different clubs. If anybody in the community is curious about what we're doing, presenting, second semester we'll get more into our marketing materials with really November, December. Marketing, going out producing commercials for local companies, and you know, we want to celebrate so many different things, and we're just excited about everything we got going on.
Well, I tell you what, that's something that, in closing, any other final thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. You know, my wife is probably at work listening right now with the girls. The girls are in her office. I think Jackie this week, probably put 10 hours in at home, working at night, and, you know, just doing what she does. And she's, you know, working a Saturday again. I think she was getting there at 9 with girls in tow, man. And she's awesome, amazing. I'm very fortunate to have her in my life, and I love her. And then obviously my two girls, hopefully they're listening. They're probably watching some ungodly thing on YouTube. Just trying to keep them occupied so Jackie can get some work done. But just thankful to have so many great people that surround myself, like Nick Waters and Eli Rum here, and Kyle's over there probably Snapchatting. But, just like I said, I'm just enjoying it all and take it in stride.
Fantastic. Well, Coach, once again, it's a pleasure to have you here on the
You as
show,
well.
Sports
Thank you.
Talk. And we want to thank all of our viewers and listeners today for this programming. And we want to welcome you back next week at 10:30. And make sure, once again, on the road this week, Norwell High School this Friday coming up. Barron fans, show up in black and red. Make sure to be there. It's going to be a heck of a game. We're looking forward to a lot more. Once again, thank you for tuning in. And we want to thank Ben Davis Ford for hosting Sports Talk once again here off Grandstaff. And as always, we want to put those shout-outs to our sponsors. Without them, this program is not possible. Auburn Essential Services, DeKalb Health, Steel Dynamics Incorporated, Bull's Frozen Desserts, Smith Teas, Gibson's Heating and Plumbing, FC Tucker, Malcolm and Schluter Realtors, Kelly Southern State Farm, Albright's One Stop and Groceries Supermarket in Corona, Jamel Flooring, the Ben Davis Auto Group, Brown & Brown Insurance, Classic City Body and Paint, Smith Farms Manor, Nixon Homes, Joyce Hefty Koval Insurance Agency, Betts Nursing Home, Beacon Credit Union, Metal Technologies, Mefford, Weber & Blythe Attorneys at Law, Nucor Building Systems, Vision Source, Indiana Physical Therapy, Auburn Dental Associates, Taylor Rental, Bernadette Salon, The Forget Me Not Boutique, Big Red Sports, Jeremiah's, DeKalb Chiropractic, and Drive Right Academy. It's your host, Joe Snyder, and once again, tune in next week at 10:30. That's it for this week of Ben Davis Sports Talk. And as always, folks, don't stop till the whistle blows.